All right, I think we'll start. Since it's 7 o'clock, this is the planning board meeting for the town of Newbury, 4th of June. So as the planning matter, my name is Pete Pecos. I'm the vice chair for the Newbury Planning Board. I'm filling in for Woody Knight this evening. Permitted to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Planning board members, when I call your name, please respond with affirmative. Larry Murphy.
Here.
Scott Kinter.
Here.
Great. Steve Manjan.
Here.
Great. Town staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Kristen Grubbs, planning director.
Yes.
Great. Applicants or representatives, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Neal, applicant for 100 High Road subdivision. I can see you, Tom. Right. So good evening. The June 4th, 2025 open meeting of the Newbury Planning Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which extends the governor's March 12th, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law until June 30th of 2027. For this meeting, the Newbury Planning Board is convening by video conference via Zoom as posted on the Planning Board's agenda, which can be found on the town's website. You may join us by going to http://zoom.us and entering the meeting ID 832-7141-3056 with the passcode of 108790, or by calling 1-929-205-6099 and entering the meeting ID number and passcode when prompted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and the attendees are participating by video and/or telephone conference. The meeting is also being broadcast live through local access cable, channel 9, on Zoom, and at https://newbury.wix.com/TV. And the recording will be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, please allow me to cover a few ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After speakers conclude their remarks, I will go down the list of board members, inviting each by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. For all attendees except board members and staff, please remember to mute your audio when you are not speaking on Zoom. Use the mute button on a phone. Use *6 to toggle the mute feature. Finally, each vote taken this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. What time do we have? We have 7:02. So we're going to start with first a submission. We have applicant Tom Neal with a submission of a definitive subdivision for 100 High Road, which is assessors map R34 lot 21 for a 2-lot subdivision. Tom, I'd like to welcome you. If you want to give us just a real, maybe 1-2 sentence description of what the submission is, because we will be going to a full detailed dive at the public hearing. So I'll give it to you now, Tom.
Great, thank you. Members of the board, for your record, my name is Tom Neal. I'm a professional engineer and a land surveyor, and I'm the owner of 100 High Road. We've submitted a definitive subdivision plan. We had the pleasure of discussing this a bit with the board and Kristen in a few meetings, and finally came up with something that we thought might make a lot of sense. So we've submitted a definitive subdivision plan of 100 High Road today, and it consists of 7 sheets. And if you were to flip through them quickly, you'd find the first sheet is nothing more than a title sheet, but it does contain the list of waivers that are involved. The second sheet is a sheet that shows the existing conditions of the property, including the topography, all the buildings, and the outline of the property boundaries, and the details of what exists as far as utilities and pavement and other amenities that are on High Road. That's sheet number 2. Sheet number 3 is a sheet that Kristen asked us to actually prepare, and I'm glad I did. It's a conventional subdivision that would show that if we were to comply with all of your rules and regulations, what the development would look like. So that sheet shows the development with the right-of-way, with 53-foot wide right-of-way, 160-foot wide cul-de-sac with the associated pavement, and we superimposed homes on the lots and show the actual location of the sanitary disposal systems as we've successfully perked on the ground. So that would be the conventional plan, and it's fully graded and fully in compliance with your rules and regulations. The next sheet is what we're hoping might be acceptable to the board, and that is a reduced roadway width and a reduced cul-de-sac size. It offers larger lots, more room, and what we feel is a more common sense approach to the way this land can be developed. Bear in mind, our original concept is to try to maintain the rural character of the land. It's an open spot, it's a hayfield, it's on a main road, and we simply want to try to develop something that would blend into the environment, would not be manufactured, and wouldn't require a lot of grading that would tend to manufacture the type of lots that we really feel wouldn't be in keeping with the property or the neighborhood. So that's sheet 4, and sheet 5 shows our proposal in detail, which is a reduced roadway construction with access to the 2 lots that we would like to develop. I've actually selected homes, so those are real houses, and those layouts are they're pretty good as far as the positioning of them and how we would like to develop the property. And again, the sanitary disposal systems are shown, the grading of the entire development is shown, the infiltration pond, the underground drainage system, the infiltration trenches, and the 3-to-1 side slopes that would be built on each side of the roadway. And bear in mind that we are trying to create something that would blend into the property. It wouldn't just stand out as a major feature of the land, but would complement the development of the 2 residential lots. So it really looks like a glorified driveway, and we somewhat looked at the common driveway bylaw and tried to mimic it. It's a little wider in pavement width, which I kind of like, and it creates the proper legal turnout for fire protection down at the base. And the outside edges of the right-of-way provide the necessary frontage for both lots. The next page, which is 6, is
We'll be diving deep into this. What I'd just like to do tonight is I just want to set a date for a public hearing now that the application has been submitted. So we will
okay.
going into this, and we'll have lots of time to discuss it. So with that said, I would like to submit a possible date for a hearing date. I'm looking at July 2nd. Is there a time that works best for us, Kristen?
Anytime for me.
I'm asking Kristen. Kristen, would 7:15 be our best time for that date?
I think that would be fine, since I think the practice of the board has been for new public hearings to start the agenda, and we probably will have some continued public hearings on that night as well.
Right.
7:15 sounds
Follow
good.
everything along perfectly. So I would welcome a motion to set a public hearing date for the 2nd of July at 7:15 via Zoom to start this public hearing.
I'd so move.
Thank you very much, Larry. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Roll call vote. Larry, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Steve?
Yes.
Thank you. Scott?
Yes.
Thank you. And the chair, the vice chair also supports this. So Tom, we look forward to going into this in detail, and we will see you on the 2nd of July.
I will too, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you. All right. Continuing along our agenda. Kristen, we need to make some recommendations for the select board for appointments. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So seeing as, we're in early June and there are several appointments that the select board will be taking up at their last meeting in June. It's the last week of June, June 24th. So the appointments that this board can recommend to the select board include the associate planning board member position, and then the commissioner for the town to Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, our regional planning agency, and the alternate commissioner for MVPC. Those are the three that are annual appointments.
Wonderful. And do I understand that Mary Stone is interested in continuing on the board as the associate planning board member?
Yes, she is. She's, as probably you all I'm looking at now, and for the sake of the public, she's a former full planning board member, and she would like to continue as associate.
Wonderful. I think that would be great. As far as MVPC commissioner, I believe that you have been fulfilling that role to be consistent with as the town planner. Is that right, Kristen?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay, and there has been an assistant role, and I served as the assistant commissioner, and I could do that also again for another year if warranted, or if someone else would like to do it. I would hand that torch over. I don't see any torch. All right, then I'd accept a motion for the select board that we would nominate, that we would pass the names of Mary Stone to be our associate planning board member, Kristen Grubbs to be the MVPC commissioner, and Pete Davis to be the MVC alternate commissioner.
You have a motion.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
There we have it. Any discussion? I don't think there probably is. How do you vote on this, Larry?
Yes.
Sir, Steve, how do you vote?
Yes.
Great. Scott?
Yes.
Perfect. And I would also support this as well. Okay, let's see what else we have for our continuing on our discussion. Okay, so now we need to talk about the organization for the planning board. And Kristen, do you want to make any opening comments on this?
I think that, again, it's sort of up for discussion annually, I think has been the practice of the planning board. But I also think it's been a good practice that the board has tended to support that people stay in the officer positions more than 1 year. It sort of takes a while to get up to speed as chair and vice chair. Woody has served as chair for the past year. Previously, Larry, you served as chair for, I don't know, several years, correct?
2 years, I think, and Pete 2 years before me, if my memory serves.
So I think we just wanted to have the opportunity to discuss starting on July 1st for fiscal year 26. If people are comfortable serving in the same officer positions, that would be Woody continuing as chair. He is unfortunately not able to be here tonight, but I did speak with him ahead of time, and he's very happy to continue in that role if the board is interested in him doing that. And then Pete, how do you feel about staying as vice chair?
Yeah.
And then the third position is clerk. Larry, you've been very helpful as clerk.
I would be happy to continue on, but I don't want anyone to feel slighted, and let me explain what I mean by that. It's been the practice of this board, and I think many of the boards in town, to elect the newest member of the board as the clerk. We got away from that last year at this time because, if you recall, I was working on getting some of our backlogged minutes up and approved, and that task has been completed. So I'm more than happy to stay on as clerk, but if anyone else has an interest and would like to be clerk, I would be happy to step aside.
With that said, I would if we were to rotate as we have in the past, first person that would be next to be rotated would be Scott, and then following Scott would be Steve. So I have not had a conversation with Scott to see if you'd be interested in being clerk. If you did not want to continue with that, Larry.
Well, as I say, I'm more than happy to stay on. But I just wanted to open it up for discussion.
Discussion is open.
Well,
I support
I wouldn't be slighted, Larry.
Okay,
So, but you know, if you got a little winded and tired of it next year, you know, I certainly could.
I have to be quite candid, Scott. There's no heavy lifting now that we've got those minutes out of the way. It's just whoever designates whoever's going to read the public notice hearings. That's all. Public hearing notices, I should say. No, I'll
All
stay
right,
on.
I don't feel slighted.
Okay, I'll stay on unless Steve has an interest in it.
No, I support your continuing on, Larry, and I certainly am not anxious to try and do it as I'm just coming on board. So
Okay, okay. I just thought I'd offer. I'm happy to stay on.
thank you.
Larry,
Thank you.
Larry, I appreciate you very much. I really do.
Okay.
Always appreciate your guidance. Okay, then I would accept a motion to have the current alignment of officers continue with Woody Knight as the chair, Pete Pecos as the vice chair, and Larry Murphy as the clerk.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second,
All right, very good. Roll call vote. Larry,
yes.
great. Steve?
Yes.
Okay, Scott?
Yes.
All right, and I would support that as well. Beautiful. Thank you. Now, let's move on to our discussion for our summer meeting schedule. We usually meet on the first and third Wednesdays of the month. I just want to make sure that people will be available for that for July and August, July and August. Does anybody have any conflicts or concerns at this point in time?
I have none.
Nor do I.
None here.
And Kristen?
No, that's great. And I appreciate just reviewing that with everyone. We do have a number of public hearings, so we'll be kind of keeping track that people who are appointed to vote on those stay on top. So that's terrific. July 4th falls at the right time this year. It's a Friday, so it's helpful.
All right, then continuing along with our agenda, because I'm gonna try to break George Morse's 27-minute meeting. Let's see, ZBA liaison reports. ZBA Larry.
Yeah, they met last on when did we meet? May 15th, and they had a pretty good schedule. They finalized the decision on variances for 11 and 15 Sunset Drive. You recall I've mentioned that in the past. These will now be coming before us for an A&R approval. Also approved a special permit to construct a new single-family dwelling at 80 Northern Boulevard. There was a public hearing for a permit special permit to construct 4 townhomes on the site of the Plum Island Grill restaurant. That was continued at the applicant's request. And they also approved a decision to construct a new single-family dwelling at 120 Northern Boulevard. They'll be meeting next on the 12th of June, which is not their regular meeting night, but they had scheduling issues. They usually meet on the 3rd Thursday of the month, but they're going to be meeting on the 12th this month. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Larry. Conservation of Woody is not here, so you won't be hearing anything else. Kristen, did you hear anything from Woody?
I did not get a chance to talk to him about that.
Okay, and VPC, Kristen.
Yeah, so the monthly planners group and the monthly commissioners group met in the middle of May. I think it was the 15th and then the following 22nd. There is a lot of the primary agenda in both of those meetings is often updates from each of the department, and they just are always incredibly busy with exciting things. So yeah, a couple highlights. Eagle View has finished taking aerial photographs of the region, which happens every 2 years. So those pictometry images will be uploaded to MyMap, which is great. What else? The environmental program has had some turnover with staffing, so they are very busy. We do a lot of work with them. They've been supporting the open space rec plan update. They've been helping, they've been writing a lot of grants for technical assistance for the communities in the region. So we've written some letters of support for their assistance with housing planning goals and strategies. We're going to look a little bit at some of the strategies from the housing production plan. So I'll be sharing more with the board on that. And they also will be supporting the town with the green communities work that we've been doing. They will help. There's annual reporting related to that, as well as assistance in applying for additional grants. So just continued excellent technical assistance in every facet of planning. That's my update.
Excellent.
And they take I think they take the summer off, so keep you posted.
All right. And I'm going to move forward to the meeting minutes for the 21st of May. Has everyone had an opportunity to take a look at those, the draft, and see if there are any edits?
I have, and well, that looks fine to me.
Great.
Same here.
Ready. Scott?
Yes.
All righty. That being the case, I entertain a motion to accept the minutes for the 21st of May as drafted.
So move.
Thank you, Larry.
Second.
Thank you very much, Steve. Roll call vote. Larry, sir.
Yes.
Great. I'm just going to change the order. Scott.
Yes.
Okay. Steve.
Yes.
All right. I will support that as well. All right. Moving into the planners report. It's over to you, Kristen.
All right. First thing I wanted to talk about was sidewalks while we're all here. We've been trying to schedule the sidewalks at 34 Central before the next planning board meeting. So we're down to a couple weeks. And two dates seem to be close to potentially. It would be really awesome to have everybody able to be there. Woody has been on the property with the Conservation Commission, but I know the rest of you have not, and I have not. So possible dates that we've talked about were Monday, this coming Monday, the 9th, or Friday, the 13th. And I admit I got a little lost among all the emails of who was exactly available when, but I think I remember those were the closest. So let's start with Monday. Is there anyone unavailable on Monday, June 9th?
I am available in the morning or early afternoon, but I have a hard stop at 4.
Okay.
Yeah, the afternoon works best for me, Kristen.
Scott?
Scott, I have a feeling this might not be
Yeah, I
good
mean,
for you.
Well, I mean, I've got, kind of a late morning noontime flight to Virginia, and then I'm gone till Thursday night. So it's I apologize, my schedule's been a little blown up the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I could do early Monday morning like Larry, but Steve can't do anything Monday until late in the day. On Friday, I can do any time after 1.
I'm available anytime on the Friday.
The afternoon works better for me.
Unfortunately, I have a conflict on Friday as of right now. My schedule might change based on my traveling mate able to travel, but I'm not certain. So if the best is looking for Friday for folks, then that's what we'll do. And I can always catch up and do a site walk with some other folks at another time.
Yeah, I don't,
Was Friday good for Woody?
Woody's doesn't know. It's weather dependent mostly for his daytime schedule these days. I would say Monday is better for me, being a work day. Scott, maybe we could find another time, or maybe I can also see, maybe we can try to get you out there on Friday as well. I don't know how to resolve this one, or we can look to the following week as well.
Well, do we know the applicant's availability?
They have said they will make it available whenever the board is best for the board.
I do have availability on Monday, so right now Monday is wide open.
So how does Monday the 16th, or anytime that week? I mean, it doesn't. I think it'd be great to get it in before the 18th, if we can.
Yeah, Monday would be difficult for me. I could do it anytime on the 17th.
Yeah, the 16th isn't a good day for me either.
Larry, you said the 17th?
Anytime on the 17th is fine with me.
Okay. Fortunately, I can't pull up my calendar at the moment, but I, could quickly, later on this evening, confirm the 17th. More than likely, the earlier the better. I think that's a Tuesday, right?
It is.
Yeah. So, we could probably, I could certainly, I think I could make that work. It's out there a bit, so I could reschedule stuff, and I don't know if that helps, Kristen.
How was the 17th for you, Pete? Do you know?
Kind of contemplating that it might be difficult. It's supposed to be in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, so that's about 10 miles from Canada, or 5 miles from Canada. And so I'm not exactly sure how that return is going to work. It's going to work, and it's kind of floating in the air. I'm wondering if we should bump back to Monday, the 9th.
Yeah, maybe Monday the 9th, and Kristen, I know it's difficult, and it's a little it's tough for the applicants, but whether it's Friday or that following Tuesday, you and I could work with them and decide what might work for them, and at least the rest of the board, and you would be able to get there on that Monday. Oh, actually,
yeah, I'd be happy to.
Larry, you can't make Monday, right?
I can, but I have to leave by 4.
Okay.
My grandson's graduation that night from 8th grade, so.
Fantastic.
Very nice.
Well,
right.
Monday at 1 or.
Works for me.
Me as well.
That could be fine.
Okay. All right. And Scott, I'd be happy to schedule. I'm sure the applicant as well. We could definitely schedule another walk sometime. It's right around the corner, so for me
Okay.
anyway, it's easy.
They're coming back on the 18th, right?
Right.
I think that'd be helpful that way if there's anything that we need to discuss in between during that week.
Okay. Let's do for Monday, June 9th, 1 p.m.
Perfect.
And I will confirm once I confirm with the applicant. All right. Pete, 7:29.
Yeah, I
I-
think
I
George
have-
he's always gonna hold that torch, man, and I don't think we should ever take it away from George. Even if we have the opportunity, it should remain in George's hand. But that doesn't mean we're not gonna try.
Couple more updates about 34 Central, which are we are I'm having a meeting with the traffic peer review this Friday. And I invited the chair and vice chair to join that meeting. It's just a Zoom discussion, so that peer review can kind of share the process and we can kind of identify. They've begun their work, but I thought it would be helpful to get a little more clarity about how the board might be interested in communicating on those issues. So that's scheduled. We got the extension letter from the applicant about the 30 extra days to make up for the Zoom snafu. So that's all set. And then the one other thing I wanted to mention is there's been some discussion of the name of the project. And the applicant has done a little research on the property, the history of the property. And I thought it was interesting. Let's see, just share a little bit of this email. So Byfield was originally part of the Ezekiel Rogers plantation. This defined area became Rowley in 1639. Newbury was founded in 1635, and Byfield became a parish of Newbury. And the other information was that 34 Central Street, the 10 acres, was the location of the S.P. Jewett House, which abutted the Rogers plantation. And so Melanie Pritchard, who is the owner, current partial owner of the property, is a Rogers. So she is a direct descendant of Ezekiel Rogers, who founded Rowley, and 34 Central Street was part of the plantation. So the applicant was sort of raising the idea for the board's consideration, whether honoring the Rogers name and that history of Byfield and, Rowley would be kind of a cool idea. So they haven't suggested any specific name, but wanted to just sort of share that history. And they've essentially said, if the board has an opinion about the name, whether it's related to this history or any of the other things that have been discussed at the previous meeting, they would like to do what the board's interested in for this project name. So they're kind of passing the ball back to the board to consider if there's any preferences. So you can all think about that.
History is great, especially if it's nice, clean history that is relatable and not offensive in any manner. I think that's the community just wanted to.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Maybe they'll put up a plaque which we can all read when we go there in the future.
Yeah.
And that being the case, I mean, we might even want to ask the historical commission if they they would have any insight, or they want to have any suggestions if we're going down that path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I think the developers talked with the Pritchards, so maybe this information is from them. I'm not sure about that, but that's a great idea too. And I think Woody has anyway, if any of you know the Pritchards, that would be welcome for sure, what their interest is. I think that's good for tonight. There's a lot going on. There's definitely some other projects. 15 Central Street is a property that's under agreement with, and the applicant there is looking to bring some ideas or potentially a preliminary definitive subdivision plan for that parcel. It's up next to the gas station here on Central Street. And then we did have a great public meeting, which was held out at the refuge headquarters for the Plum Island Turnpike resiliency study for feasibility improvements, looking at vulnerability of flooding and also transportation improvements for Plum Island Turnpike. And I want to thank Steve for attending. We actually had 70 people approximately, which was a really great turnout. Newburyport residents, Newbury residents, and a lot of Plum Island residents, but not only Plum Island residents. So a lot of good discussion. We did take a video of the presentation portion, and then there was a classroom discussion portion of the meeting, which had a lot of people providing, just talking with each other about the different questions and issues about the turnpike, but also providing written comments. So those are all being sorted through by the consultant Ty and Bond, and we will have sort of summary information of the comments received put up on the project website, hopefully within the next week or so. But Steve.
Kristen, can you predict whether this is going to come before the planning board? And if it does not, maybe describe your role, since I understand that Newburyport was the applicant for the grant to begin with. But as I understand it, you're taking the lead on behalf of Newburyport as well. But if it's not going to come before the planning board, you can be really short in your description.
Well, I guess, so I'm not sure what you mean about coming before the planning board, like a presentation similar to the meeting last week, or?
No, whether we have any role to play in terms of evaluating, giving doing thumbs up and thumbs down as a board, or is it strictly going to be handled through you and the planning department for both Newbury and Newburyport? Yep.
So this is just phase one of the project. So it's really just gathering the information. There will be a second public meeting where there is a presentation of the information that's come in, and the science, the engineering and survey work of all of the issues that are on the table. So there will be another presentation, but there isn't any thumbs up or thumbs down. It's really just sort of laying out what are some potential strategies for feasibility improvements. And then it will sort of be up to the communities, the partners involved, to decide what happens next. So I don't, know, there's no permitting, there's no specific result in that the planning board would have a role in. I think it's sort of seen more as a full community initiative and exploration. So in terms of each of you on the board being a resident, you have absolutely an appropriate and hopefully interested right to have opinions about it all, but there won't be any specific vote taken, if that makes sense.
Okay.
In terms of my role, so this started before I started working for the town, the project, and it was a discussion between folks at the National Wildlife Refuge and Newburyport and Newbury. So everyone was involved in the idea about applying for the grant, but the grant applicant had to just be one municipality, and that was Newburyport. They have a grant staff writer. So I think she took the lead on it with the support of sort of those three main partners. The fact that the refuge is located on Plum Island is what makes the region eligible for this particular funding. It's Federal Lands Access Program, so it's access to the Parker River National Wildlife Refuge. That's the primary criteria for these projects. So I think it's a great project because there are the partners. The Regional Planning Commission and their transportation and environmental staff are also heavily involved. Because the majority of Plum Island Turnpike is in Newbury, I think that's why Newburyport was supportive of Newbury staff, planning staff, Martha and myself, sort of being able to help coordinate and be sort of a project manager. So I have been doing that since I was here as assistant planner, and now I'm continuing to serve that role. Newburyport has sort of a dual point person. One is their city engineer, John Eric White, who's been really involved in the resiliency work for from an infrastructure standpoint, and the Newburyport Resiliency Committee as a board has been very involved in this kind of work. So they're kind of Newburyport's point people. And then both Gerard Witten and Elizabeth Maldari at Merrimack Valley Planning Commission are sort of the primary project team. So we, together hired the consultant after and put out an RFP last summer. Several consultants were interviewed, consultant was hired in the fall, and now Ty and Bond has, a full group of different staff members with different expertise, including a project manager. So, so the project website is found on the Town of Newbury's planning page, and I've been trying to keep that up. But that's probably enough on that. But any questions? Does that make sense?
Well, that helps. I'll keep on plugging along as a citizen in terms of providing comments, not as a member of the planning board. And I'm trying to draw that distinction when I submit comments.
That's great. That's great, Steve. It really is. I have a question about, I don't know if I should ask this, about funding. How funded is this project?
Yeah, so it's funded. It's federal highway money, but it is channeled through Mass DOT. So the funding was, there were a lot of questions about making sure the funding was available. It is a reimbursement grant. So that is where Newburyport is taking the lead. The money, Ty and Bond is on contract with the city of Newburyport. Newburyport pays Ty and Bond. Newburyport gets reimbursed from Mass DOT that has access to the federal highway money. So it's still available at the moment.
If I may, back in the days when I worked for EPA, one always had to be careful about directing the contractor in that, within our structure of EPA, I couldn't direct the contractor, only the project manager could. And I don't know whether you need to be sensitive to that in terms of giving directions to Ty and Bond. But generally, things are pretty well spelled out about who can say to the contractor, please jump or stop, as the case may be.
Let's talk about that, Steve. I'm not sure I understand. I'm not sure that's the case with this, but I'd be interested to talk about it.
Sure. And I had a question about something completely different, but let's lay this one to rest for now.
Hey, Steve, okay, your next question.
All right. And this may be my memory failing me. Have we scheduled, or do we anticipate scheduling a site walk for the Sunset Club?
So that public hearing hasn't opened yet. It opens at our next meeting. So it's usually at the public hearing that we've scheduled a site walk. So
Okay.
We have not yet scheduled it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It might actually be after the second hearing, depending on how it is out, Steve.
Sure.
So we should start now and maybe we'll schedule it by August. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that'll be important, Steve. So for sure.
I have a
So the
question.
next meeting will be, we'll have the new public hearing opening for Sunset Club and the continued public hearing for 34 Central Street. So, and possibly a couple other permit cleaning up things that we're trying to keep moving along. Sorry, Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask where you're at with filling the assistant planner position.
So the job description has been, or the job listing has been posted internally by the town administrator, which means if there are any current town employees, they're available to apply for a couple weeks. And then after 2 weeks, it gets posted externally, depending on if there are any applicants. So it is funded for FY26 with the same, at the same rate that it was funded for FY25. So we're certainly hoping to fill that position as soon as possible.
Would be good.
There's plenty to do.
Mhm.
Anything else, Chris?
I think that's good for now. As always, reach out with any questions and we'll keep you posted.
Thank you, thank you. With that said, folks, I think we've concluded our agenda. So if there's nothing more, I would happily entertain a motion to adjourn this evening.
I move to adjourn.
Larry, thank you.
Second,
Steve, thank you. All right, roll call. Larry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Steve,
yes.
and I say thank you as well. Everyone, have a good night. Thanks very much for coming.
Okay, you too.
Thank you, Pete.